It's Lightning 100's Lieutenant Dan doing a special edition of Music Business Radio with Sara Bareilles. How you doing, Sara?
I'm doing well.
It's great to have you here in Nashville, and I want to hear your story, but I thought we'd start off, since this is a show about the music business, on why you're here, because your show's not coming up till Friday, October 8th at the Ryman, but you're in town on a promo tour, right?
Right, correct.
So can you tell people what that is?
Yeah, I mean, radio, as you know, is still a very important part of the equation for artists and for getting new music out there. And it's definitely changed the trajectory of my career in the past. You know, I was very fortunate to have a lot of really wonderful radio support the last time around. So basically, we just hit the road and we go and we visit a bunch of lovely stations like yourselves, and we sing some new music and do interviews and cut what are liners for the station, where I say, "Hey, this is Sara Bareilles, and you're listening to, add your station here." And but it's great. It's a great way to meet the the faces behind the voices that everyone is so familiar with, and it's just a really nice way to kind of give back, I think.
Is it pretty whirlwind? Do you have to buzz in and out of town? Do you get to actually say, okay, I want an hour to go to the thrift store, guys?
Well, I would probably pick that, for a different type of tour. These tours they tend to be really rigorous and just a lot at once. So, we wake up and we're like, what city are we in? We have no idea. I mean, we're taking multiple plane flights a day or coming in and out of 3 to 4 cities a day. So it's in and out. But, when we come back on our headlining tour, we do like to explore the cities we get to, come through.
What do you like to do in your downtime? I see you have a nice cup of coffee here. So
this is one of my favorite things to do is, of course, it has to do with food. It's finding great food in the city. What is the restaurant to check out? And I love coffee shops. I am such a coffee junkie. And so... yeah, I usually try to find people's favorite little hangs. I'm
thinking that the video for your new song, King of Anything, are you in a coffee shop for a minute in there?
Yeah, we are. We're at a coffee shop in Vancouver.
Did you just show up and be like, hey, guess what? We're shooting a video.
We're shooting a video here.
Can we get a free cup of coffee?
We did get, no, I think we had to pay for it, actually.
No way.
I think we did.
I saw the video, and I'd love for you to kind of walk us through what goes into that, because I'm guessing it's a pretty big production.
It definitely is a big production, and it's different every time, and I'm sure the one constant in this industry is that it's different for everybody. There is no one way to do any of this, and that's been kind of a real big lesson for me to learn to think outside the box a little bit. So King of Anything, the video, is the first time that I ever attempted writing a video treatment. That was a new step for me, and what ended up happening was I wrote the treatment, and we sent it out to the director, Sara Bareilles, and he wrote back and kind of gave me his take on... he had written a treatment prior to reading mine, so basically what we did was marry the two, and it ended up being this really cool kind of amalgamation of both of our ideas. But what I took away from that was just... I think as an artist, the more you put your stamp on things, the more you really give an authentic version of what your artistic vision is. I think the more people connect with it. I think it's a really, it can be a scary thing to do because you feel like you're so exposed. But at the same time, I think that's really the way the fan and the listener is going to get the best sides of you, is if you're willing to kind of put it all out there.
When you say a video treatment, can you just for people who don't know what that is, what?
So it's basically just an outline. It's an outline of the story of what you see on the screen. So for example, I would say, the scene opens in a coffee shop and Sara is sitting opposite, the king character, and he looks like, a scraggly guy, and he's yammering on and telling her what to do. And you basically go into as much detail as you can to give the people on the production side of things. So that's the camera crew, the people that are dealing with the cinematography or, director of photography, so they can have as much information as possible. And the technical side of things, I don't know anything about, so I'm not going to be any help.
That's what Epic is for.
Yeah, there you go.
You need a team.
Yeah, exactly.
So you said this is the first time you've done that.
Right.
Since then, have you been writing a song or listening to a song and starting to think in those terms?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That really has changed my approach, because I think in the past, not that I haven't enjoyed the process of making the videos, but I think I felt more removed from it than I needed to. I felt like creatively I was handing over the reins to someone else, when really I think the best product will come out of feeling that it's more of a collaboration than just kind of a, giving someone all the power. So
do you look at other people's videos now or listen to other people's songs and go, I would have done it this way?
No, I'm trying not to be too critical, but I get inspired by all sorts of things. So I'll listening to other people's music or seeing other videos. I mean, videos that are nothing like something I would do. A video from Lady Gaga, for example, like you can garner inspiration from that, even though you know that stylistically it's maybe not a direction I would go in. I think people would laugh at me, but she does it really well.
We're talking to Sara Bareilles, and she's going to be at Ryman Auditorium Friday, October 8th with Greg Laswell. And the connection to Greg Laswell is Ingrid Michaelson sings on the new Greg Laswell record. And did you co-write a song with Ingrid?
I did, yeah. And actually, I know Greg from the Hotel Cafe scene in Los Angeles. So we met years and years ago, and we've always kind of run in the same circles. But then, yes, Ingrid became a friend of mine, and we co-wrote a song together called Winter Song for a benefit CD that was put out by the Hotel Cafe. And she sang on that record with Greg, and the rest is history, you guys.
Well, let's take it back a little bit, and let's talk a little bit about your story. Okay. You grew up with really tall trees around you.
I did,
in the redwood forest, which I personally, actually, I was born in San Mateo County, and my parents got married in the redwood forest.
Awesome.
So very familiar with that. And you went from there to L.A., and that must have been a shock.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty big difference for you.
Huge culture shock for me. I mean, growing up in Eureka was really magical in the sense that I think I was really, really sheltered from most everything. And it was a weakness and a strength that I was really naive to almost everything. I mean, from sex and drugs to just what it feels like to be in a big city, to the entertainment industry. Like, I did not really have access to any of that. So I was a kid for a really long time, and then I went to school, and I remember I went to university at UCLA in Los Angeles, and I was bowled over by everything. I mean, not only from like fashion and sort of what people had as priorities, Gucci bags and Prada, and I was like, you cannot purchase a Gucci bag in Eureka, California if you tried. They do not exist. They do have the internet, and we have the wheel. We got both of those things. But no, it was such a different upbringing, and it was really magical in that way. But yeah, LA was a culture shock, to say the least.
I imagine it affected your writing. If you were you writing much before the move?
That was actually that was a big thing that started it for me, and I think part of what the college experience is very sort of self-exploratory, and I got very introspective and started to really feel isolated in a way. I didn't really know where I belonged. I didn't really, I had some really sweet friends, but they were all in a sorority, and I didn't feel like that was really my scene. And so I think I turned to music. That became kind of how I discovered who I was, and it remains to this day sort of my most precious relationship. It's very special thing for me.
Can you tell us about one of your first times performing in front of a crowd down there?
The very first time I did anything, it was one of my goals was to play a show, because I was going to spend my junior year abroad in Italy. I was studying Italian, so I wanted to do a year abroad. But it was one of my goals that before I left LA, I was going to do a show. And so I went to an open mic, and I wrapped my keyboard in my bedspread, and I didn't tell a soul. I went there, and I played an old song of mine called Everyday Stranger. And the booker was there, actually. And so he asked me to come back and play a show. And so I got to get a couple of shows under my belt before I left for my year in Italy.
Was that nice?
The year in Italy?
Yeah,
it was amazing. It was actually really traumatic as well. The sense of, I think it's a really important experience for everyone to go somewhere where they feel foreign. And it really changed my perspective on everything. I took away so much from that year. and I really realized how small my world had been, how I'd been living in such a bubble, and it really opened my eyes to a lot of things. And I gained like 25 pounds. It was awesome. I ate a lot of pasta and pizza.
They kind of have the best food in the whole world.
It's just, and pizza's like, the boys in the band call me Pizzasaurus Rex because I cannot not eat pizza. It is by far my weakness.
He's the king of pizza.
Yeah, right.
Do you mind me asking something personal about some of your songs?
Yeah, of course.
I somehow discovered you one morning before I came to work. I don't come to work that early, but I was watching VH1 a couple years ago, and you were, I think, one to watch or something.
Okay.
It was for the first for Love Song. And so I got your CD. I thought, I got to find it. And I was listening to it, and there was a song that struck me, and I'm sure a lot of people have talked about this song to you, Gravity.
Mm-hmm.
Was that a song that you personally went through, or was that one of those songs that call on your craft?
No, that was a very, very personal experience with that, and that was really my first experience with heartbreak. And it was, at the time, it felt like the world was ending, and I just was never going to be the same. And at this point, I look back. I mean, I was 18 when I wrote that song, and I look back and I was like, wow, I was really melodramatic. But I think that's it is one of those songs that I see and hear from listeners as being a really important song to them. So yeah, it was tough. I got my heart stomped on and handed to me a couple of times.
That happened at 18? And when did you write the song? Or were you writing it?
I wrote the song, I was probably maybe 19 or 20. Mm-hmm. It was my high school boyfriend, and I went away to school. And every time I came home, I just fell back into these same horrible patterns of just like, I couldn't think about anything else but him. And so I think I wrote it probably when I was 19, home for that first summer from college.
Wow.
So.
Does he know it was written about him?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm like terrible. I am such an open book. I tell everybody everything. Yeah. He's like, I think I told him it was about him, and he's like, thank you. Like, I don't know what to do with that.
Well, it's really a great song. And I think one of the things that's interesting about the song, the reason I asked how old you were when you wrote it, and I think just sitting here talking with you, I can feel it. It's so insightful. 19 years old. I mean, I was writing... Or what was I doing at 19? I was like, I wasn't doing that, and I wasn't thinking about that. Even if I was in a relationship where I was brokenhearted, it certainly wasn't writing a song. It was something else.
Yeah, I got you.
So that's pretty amazing. I mean, how long did it take you to write that song? Was it a...
I want to say, I mean, it's a little foggy for me now because it's been, handful. It's been like 4 years, so I'm just kidding. No, but I think it was something that I came back to a couple of times. I mean, I've had a handful of songs that sort of just pour out and are finished in one session. But that one I think I came back to a couple of different times. But it was, I mean, I think I've always been someone who's very comfortable and in touch with my emotional side. I mean, that's not hard for me to access. I cry about everything. I'm so like, it's a phrase in my family that listen to my words, not to my tears. Like we cry about everything. And so, it's been a really nice thing for me to access as a writer though, because I think it's easy for me to share that stuff.
One of the reasons I wanted to ask that question was just your writing process, and that one song in particular was on the forefront of my brain. So
Thank you.
Just thought,
well, I'm glad you liked it.
I want you to tell us about seeking out and getting your record deal. You co-produced your own demo.
Yeah.
And then you had to shop it around.
Yeah. Although I will say I learned the hard way early on. I made a promise to myself that I was going to stop sending my record out because I was only getting bad feedback. And I had done that original demo that's called Careful Confessions. We had done that, and then I was sending it out to people, and it's like in LA, it's like everybody knows somebody who's in the industry somewhere. So it's like getting, mailing it out to people, and really either if you heard back at all, it was always negative. And I got told I'm not a good writer, I'm not a good singer, I'm only a good singer, it ran the gamut, and I never felt good about it. So I made the decision to stop soliciting people's opinions and input. And I just really focused on my performance and building a live experience for the fan. And that is always my advice to young songwriters is don't worry so much about getting the ear of somebody who's a high up mucky muck or whatever, because really what people want to capitalize on and market is something that's already working. So if they see you have a great rapport with an audience or build a fan base that comes from an authentic place, the work is done. And that's really what you want to feel confident in the first place is that the show is there or the songs are there. Concentrate on the craft because the business is changing so much and it's impossible to chase it. It's going to keep morphing into something else that you have no idea how it works.
How did you keep the energy after having such negative response?
Well, I had really wonderful support in LA. I mean, I attribute a lot of it to my time at UCLA. I mean, the student body was really, really supportive. And I mean, little by little, I would just play shows and I learned, I can't book that many shows in 1 month because then nobody comes to them. I've done the shows in front of 7 people and my aunt, I did all of the things and I learned by doing what works and what doesn't. People ask about sort of the big break, and that would have been meeting my manager. And that came from doing a tour with my buddies that are now Maroon 5. At the time, they were Car as Flowers. But, I got a chance to play with them and tour with them, and that's kind of how I met my manager. But it all came from this very, organic place, which I think is the only way it would have worked for me.
Can you tell us about the difference between the experience of recording your demo and the experience of going into a real studio, which I assume...
Oh, it was terrifying.
Yeah?
It was terrifying. Making my first record was such a tumultuous process for me. And it was just, when I think back now, I realize I blamed everybody else, but it was so much just my experience. I was so scared of everything and scared of losing grip on who I really was or getting pushed in a direction I didn't want to go or, playing with musicians that aren't my band members, everything, ran the gamut of being scared. And so I can't say that I really, really enjoyed that first process because it was just terrifying. And the demo was it was easy because it was just me and my friend Gabe who co-produced it with me. So we didn't have to answer to anybody or ask anybody's opinion or it was just all about well, do you like this? Great, I like it too. Let's record the next track. It was easy.
So your new record was fun then.
The new record was really fun, and I think so many things are different at this point. I was lucky enough to have success with the first record, so the label sort of gave us free rein for the most part. I had a great collaborator in my producer, Neil Avron, and we had a great chemistry and sort of synergy in terms of our vision. And I am just a more confident person at this point. I'm just not afraid to say when I don't like something, and I'm not afraid to speak up and take charge. And I sound like I've got it all figured out. I still struggle with that stuff sometimes, but, in general.
Because you have a kaleidoscope heart.
Yeah, I'm fragmented.
There's a lot of different colors.
Yeah, exactly. But I am a much more confident person than I was.
Do you ever in the studio say, gosh, guys, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why, having a great sense of trust with whoever you're collaborating with is just paramount because you have to be able to trust somebody else's opinion. There were times where I would look at Neil and be like, I got nothing. Whatever you want to do is what we're going to do because I have no idea what I think. He's like, okay, great.
Did you go in with a lot of songs, or how many songs did you go into the studio with?
We went in with 18.
Wow.
18 songs. And one of them ended up two of them ended up kind of not ever getting finished because one of them I'm sort of trying to figure out if I like the structure of the song, so we kind of just put that down. And the other one, I think production-wise, we went in a direction that didn't end up feeling authentic to the song. So we'll probably readdress that at some point. But luckily, this is the first time I've ever had more than enough material. That was a foreign process for me as well, because the first time it was like, God, I just want to get to 10 songs.
I can't imagine what that pressure is like, especially with the clock ticking.
Yeah, it's not fun. But, it's not life or death. that's the thing that I've been really lucky to have good friends remind me of, good friends who are also musicians and have experienced the same kind of roller coaster ride. Is like, if the songs aren't there, then you've already answered your own question. Like, you can't polish a turd. It's not going to be good. You can sing it well and you can produce it to sound pretty, but if the song isn't good, it's not a good song. So, ask for more time. So yeah, that's what I did.
That's awesome. I appreciate you talking to us, Sara.
It's my pleasure. Getting down to the nitty gritty. I like this.
Yeah, no, it's good. And, well, you really gave people a lot of advice, and it's hard. And there's, especially in Nashville, Tennessee, there's so many people who want to do it. And like you said, you send out your record and you get no feedback or negative feedback. So.
What's awesome, though, about Nashville is that there's so many songwriters here. That's such a special group of people. And whereas in LA, and I love LA, don't get me wrong, but it's more about, there's a lot of people that want to be famous in LA. And here it's about the craft and it's about the music, and that's something that I really appreciate getting a chance to tap into a little bit here. It feels great.
Have you been writing with people here?
No. I haven't, but I'm actually a terrible co-writer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm terrible at it. It's something I really am hoping to get better at.
Terrible why?
I just get all heady. It feels like the only... either I'm afraid of hurting somebody's feelings, so I won't say what I really think, or I feel pressure to come up with something quick, and I don't feel like I have enough time to figure out if I actually really like the idea or not. It's not something I'm good at yet.
On the new record, Kaleidoscope Heart, are those all songs you wrote? Mm-hmm. No co-writes?
There's one co-write with a friend of mine who helped me kind of finish the bridge on a song. I couldn't figure out the bridge, and he helped me with that. And then everything else I wrote myself. But there was an exclusive track on the pre-order that I co-wrote with the band, which was cool because I've been playing with these boys for a long time.
You might know this woman. We had her on the show before. She lives here now. She lives between here and L.A. And her name is Alyssa Moreno.
That sounds really familiar.
Yeah, you have the same sort of quality.
Really?
Yeah, you need to meet her. And
Awesome.
Really, you do need to meet her.
Do you have her number?
I do.
Okay.
I'll get it.
Okay.
Well...
Say it on the air right
no,
now.
I just lost my phone. It was a big ordeal. I lost all my numbers. But I have her email address, and I will give it to you.
I would love it.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Because she's great.
Well, I want you to tell us about your band, because the guy that was just playing drums said he lives here in East Nashville.
He does. He lives in East Nashville. His name's Josh Day. Who I have with me here today is Josh Day and Javier Dunn, and they've been playing with me since the very, very beginning. So we're going on 7 years together. And
it's longer than many marriages.
Yeah, I know. We're about due for a fight, I guess, or something. Yeah, they're great. And then my band members that aren't with me today are Dan Ryan and Phil Cronengold. So I have a good posse of boys. It's important to have good people around you. Absolutely.
We're going to get Greg to sneak up on stage and do something with you at the Ryman.
Absolutely.
Yes.
He won't get away without doing that, for sure.
That's awesome. Well, it's going to be a great show. Check out Sara Bareilles' new album, Kaleidoscope Heart. It's coming out September 7th. You've been hearing King of Anything here on Lightning 100. And if you're lucky, I think the next single might be Hold My Heart. It's pretty good song there. But we'll definitely see her out at Ryman Auditorium Friday night, October 8th with Greg Laswell. You can get more information on the concert page at lightning100.com.